Hi everybody, welcome back to 30 Days Until Done. We're going to talk today about we're going to continue our conversation about winter in the foothills of Sequoia, or winter wherever you are. There are people looking at this from China, and I was in China last winter, and it's cold. I never expected that from China, the level of cold. There are people looking at this from Canada, and cold. Right, and then you're really talking about snow and that sort of thing, right? You could also be talking about the people in those areas, and I think of the person that the most memorable person for me in China, aside from the people that I got to know, just like the random people that I ran into. There's a guy who worked at the, it was like an apartment complex called a Longtang, and he worked at the front, and his job was to take care of everybody. He had a room that was maybe that big. It was, it was just enough to stick a cot and a TV in, and that was it. And he had a big window that looked over his cot, so that people could bang on the window when they needed him to do something. And I wonder about what winter for him was like. And right, you've got all of this nature coming down and affecting this one person who's dealing with it in however way he can deal with it. Okay, and that's the theme for today. What happens when nature and humanity meet? And right at the beginning of this tape, you saw some sort of structure. It looks like some sort of satellite something or other, maybe a cell place. I don't know. I don't know enough science to know what that was, or engineering, I guess. And okay, but the forest is rising up around it. The foothill part of the forest is rising up around it, and the two are existing together at the same time. If I were going to write about it, I might write about that. I might write about this guy sleeping in this place. Actually, I already have written about him because he was just an interesting person, and I think he was from Tibet, and he was this person who was there, imported to Shanghai to do this job and live in this sort of terrible place, and then he would move back to Tibet once he earned his money. Or I think about Chernobyl. I don't know if you've seen any pictures of Chernobyl. Check it out. It's fascinating because people have been moved out of that city and that area, and the forest has taken it back, both in terms of the flora and the fauna. And so you've got these buildings, and the birch trees are just growing up inside of them, and the wolves have returned, and the forest is existing as a primeval forest would, and people are pretty much staying out, but those who have don't seem to be terribly affected by the radiation, not in the ways that we think they would. And it's interesting to see the way that nature is taking back this place that is essentially human. And I think of other places like that. One of the things I like to do is go up to Sequoia and Kings Canyon in the winter and take a look at campgrounds. Have you ever seen a campground that's been abandoned? It's really a fascinating place. You've got the echoes of humanity happening, but it's even hard to tell which campground is which. It's all just sort of an amorphous blob now, and it's just echoes of memory. I've been to places, ghost towns. That's always fascinating. Ghost town always looks different than you think it's going to. One of the most fascinating places for me was going into Fort Ord before it's transitioned to CSU Monterey Bay, and I don't know how far the transition's gone, but they had blocks and blocks and blocks of mid-century modern houses just sitting empty, and the sort of nature to some degree taking over, but also there was some level of maintenance, and so it was a very eerie place to be. Okay, so when you're done with that, you talk about this mixing of humanity and nature. Post down below, and we'll comment on it, and we'll see you tomorrow. 30 Days Until Done.